one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome to the November public session of the Board of Trustees, and I always start this off with an Employee of the Month. And this month we had made Angel Perez, who's our ordinance inspector, the Employee of the Month, and he's been with the village since June 12th, 2007. And Captain Ryan writes about him. Ordinance Inspector Angel Perez has over 6 years of service with the police department. Angel consistently does excellent work investigating complaints from village residents concerning matters of the Southampton Village Code, while at the same time assisting the building department. He has on several occasions helped the police department with investigations where the need for a Spanish interpreter occurs. Most recently, he assisted both the police and the building departments in the handling of a nuisance premise that has resulted in the cleaning up of a concern of a local neighborhood. This Ordinance Inspector Perez's third time receiving the Employee of the Month award. So I want to congratulate Angel and thank him for the job that he does. So very fortunate to have him on board with us. So now we have public comment. We still have. And we have two public hearings there, so if you want to, if you're here to speak about those two public hearings, one's the Community Development Program, and the other one's the Village Latch, and we'll come to those later on in the agenda. So, public comment. Brenda, do we have anybody? Do we have anybody who'd like to make a comment that didn't sign up? Okay. So, we'll close the public comment, and we're going to do board presentations. We got, yes. Just general stuff. You're here for the public hearing, so So here's the difference: is public comment you get 3 minutes. Public hearings, there's no time limit. Okay. So, okay. I hate to say that, but those are the rules. So, so we have village first responder here, Chief Fowler.
Good evening. I'm Rick Fowler. I'm Chief of the Ambulance. I'm here tonight to speak about our 2007 First Responder Chief Vehicle. On November 1st, while responding to a call here in the village, a car pulled out in front of it, and the cars collided, and our vehicle went head first into a tree. Fortunately, no one was seriously injured, but unfortunately, the vehicle was not so lucky. The insurance company looked at the vehicle yesterday, and they have classified it as totaled. They're going to give us a value of $34,230 for this vehicle. It's not quite the full value of the vehicle. We're going to be submitting other claims for some of the other accessories in the vehicle, but most of the main accessories, the big ticket items, were included in that number. Let's see. Moving forward, speaking with Kenny Zay down at Maintenance Shop, he has suggested looking forward to purchase a new vehicle, perhaps. He doesn't really have any other used vehicles around the village that would fit our needs. There is an old fire department Tahoe down there that has been decommissioned. It has a blown engine and some other mechanical problems, so he didn't really suggest going that route. Speaking with the people that are salesmen for the vehicle that we've gone through the past 2 times, they have told us that they're not currently making Tahoes right now. They're waiting for the new Tahoe year, which starts in January, which is a completely new model with the price increase. The first time anyone will see those vehicles won't be until May at the earliest. Some of the downsides with waiting for this vehicle is it's going to be a price increase, and a lot of our custom equipment for our mounts won't fit these vehicles right away, so we'll have to wait even longer. Fortunately, the company that we've been dealing with for the past 2 vehicles has a overstock vehicle that pretty much matches what we currently have which they've offered to save for us. It is a little bit of a price savings, but our last vehicle came in at about $70,000, which is a pretty high price. The reason why our vehicles are a little bit higher is because of the climate control cabinets for the medications. Our medications are very temperature sensitive. If they get too hot or too cold, they expire and go bad. There is a emergency expenditure clause that we found, that I spoke to Steve about, where we are able to purchase a new vehicle and bypass the public bid procedure if that's what we decide to do. So what I would like to do tonight is ask your guys' permission to spec a new vehicle and come back to you at the next meeting with pricing and move forward with it, so we can go with this emergency expenditure and get one of these overstock vehicles.
Well, the chief hit all the points on it, and that was the one thing I wanted him to focus on, was the fact that it's clear that a new vehicle is needed because of the accident. So it was basically the semantics of how we go about getting another one and when, and how much it's going to cost. We finally got some insurance numbers, and also I think talking to Kenny Zay at the shop, he's basically going to try to salvage whatever he can. If the engine is salvageable out of the totaled ambulance responder, he may be able to put that in the older fire department vehicle and then sell that, so it becomes a saleable item. So we're looking to put a few band-aids on a couple of older items to sell that, which then could help in conjunction with the insurance money to defray the cost significantly of what a new vehicle would be. And of course, what the chief was saying is typically there is a bidding process because it's an emergency vehicle and time is of the essence. There is a way to sidestep that. You're still going to get prices, but the actual bidding process, the lengthy part of it, can be sidestepped. And again, more importantly, there are a lot of the stuff, the equipment can carry over, lights and so forth from the existing truck, that would not be able to carry over to the next model up. So that's why this carryover, this leftover, which he refers to, the guy would be nice enough to put aside. So I think that's one of the bigger points that I think he wanted to point out.
And most of the medical equipment we can transfer over. They weren't damaged, but the bigger items like the climate control system did break loose and the vehicle did shift and the structural integrity is pretty much compromised. Kenny seemed to think that if they could outfit that fire department truck, they could get at least $10,000 for it, selling it on the streets. So with our $34,000 for the vehicle plus that $10,000, it severely offsets the cost of a new vehicle.
Yes, so that's why I definitely wanted to come up and wanted to send him along to get some prices for you guys with your blessing to outfit a new vehicle.
I think so we should make a motion to go out the bid.
Okay, well, I'd like to put up a motion to send Chief Fowler out for the SVVA to get prices for a new tile for the village SVVA chief responder, first responder.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And, you know, we had a great party that the ambulance had
It happened that day.
that same day, November
Yeah.
1st.
And it happened to the guy who was Frank EMT, who was voted EMT of the year earlier, was the
Yeah.
EMT who was injured.
But,
Or had, yes.
Not how we planned on spending the day, but
yeah. But if you don't know, I mean, the Southampton Village Volunteer Ambulance was recognized as Agency of the Year for Suffolk County, and there's about 115 agencies in Suffolk County, all volunteer agencies, fire departments, and ambulances, and they're probably one of the smallest. And their response time and the volume of calls and the Safe Heart community program that they've done with giving CPR instructions to over 500 kids at the high school, and community CPR programs, and a lot of outreach that they've done, and the way the program's operating, they were recognized as the Agency of the Year. And so that night, November 1st, was the awards night, and Agency of the Year hosts the awards
Yep.
night, and it was at 230 Elm. So it was a great night.
Very nice.
And you spent a lot of time getting a lot of recognition, and Matt Zukoski, who's one of our paid EMTs, was actually recognized as the Suffolk County Educator of the Year, and he actually put together a whole associates program through Suffolk Community College that is recognized for EMT. So it was he spent 4 or 5 years putting that program and getting it certified to New York State and Suffolk County to offer it. So it was quite an incredible night, especially for Southampton Village Volunteer Ambulance and the employees and the volunteers. So congratulations, Chief, on a great department.
Thank you for all you guys do.
A lot of talent on that department.
Very talented.
Plus, they're also 20 years, celebrating 20 years.
This year.
As they are as a SVVA, it's 20 years this year.
Wow, it's fantastic.
So we've come a long way.
You have come a long way. So, and it's a growing department. Needs are growing every single day, and cramped space and things that we have to work on, and
Yes.
they're not too distant future. So,
Here's hoping.
yeah, great.
All
Okay,
right. Well, thank you.
thanks, Chief.
Thank you, Chief.
Village Hall heating here, Mark. Steve, you want to?
Sure. Well, as you know, we had to go out to bid for our heating system for 23 Main Street. The steam boiler downstairs was patched probably 7 too many times. We removed all the piping from the system and the boiler out. We actually got 19,000 pounds of steel that was recycled to Gershow. And Mark is here to present the bids. Now, this system will cover the first and second floor, because obviously we're under renovation for the second floor, trying to move the building inspector over here. So it'll cover both those sections. So it's a combined, obviously, replacement for here, but a new system for the second floor.
Great.
So good evening. So I'm not sure whether you have my analysis.
Yeah, we do right
So,
here.
so I'm glad to say that we had a substantial local participation for the bid package. We had over 10 local contractors who attended the walkthroughs, and then we had 5 solid bids that came in, and we analyzed the bids, and we now would like to make a recommendation to award it to J.P. Mulvey. Is the lowest bidder. Is a little higher than our estimate, but within ranges. And in this case, it's based on prevailing wages, and this adds up to the cost. Adds to the cost. It's a hot water based board. We are proposing 4 zones on the ground floor and 3 zones on the second floor.
Okay.
And it's a mid efficiency boilers. And
So, which one are you recommending?
J.P. Mulvey.
On the AEC engineering, is that,
That's our estimate. That was
that's
our
our
yeah.
estimate?
that was our original estimate.
Okay, of what you felt it would cost, and
Right.
then they came the closest.
They came the closest. Yes, they're the lowest.
So with the heating system controls, there seems to be a substantial difference between what you guys had estimated and then what Mulvey has there.
For the
Heating system controlled equipment.
4th item down.
The 4th
Yes.
item down.
right, because Mulvey had a portion of it in the others, where it has 34,000.
Okay.
So Mulvey has the control system. We're proposing a control system by iWorks, which is Takeo pumps. And will be able to be remotely controlled. You'll be able to it's web enabled. And you'll be able to see which pump operates and be able to control the temperature in every room remotely.
Okay.
So it's will be state of the
From a
art.
distance? I mean,
Sorry, yes.
like if you were at home, could you?
If you're at home, you could actually log in and being able to control the system. And it's we designed it very efficiently. You know,
Okay.
it's
So when these bids went out, were did you look over them so they were really apples to apples?
Yes, yes, we
Okay.
did. We did. We had the,
Because some of these
yeah, we had
bids
the,
are,
yeah, three walkthroughs, so there was a thorough understanding of the system. We actually did a second walkthrough because we wanted to get the feedback from the various contractors. Originally, we had a high efficiency boiler, and then there was some issues that came up where we felt that this was a good system without blowing the budget.
Any questions for Mark or anything, guys? Any other questions?
And in terms of schedule, we asked that the ground floor installation be operational by January 4th, and then the second floor by February 28th. So there's a timeline in the.
Yeah.
let's hope it doesn't get too cold.
That's right.
Good.
Well, Steve, bring your mittens. No.
Right,
That's why these help out, but they only cover to a certain,
Right,
certain
Yeah.
amount.
a little nippy.
yeah. Okay, so make a motion to accept the bid from JP Mulvey for the total price of $183,412.44 in accordance with their bid.
Second?
Second?
All in favor?
I,
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you, Mark.
Okay, public hearings here. We've got a public hearing for the community development program here. This first on. Okay. So, let's see, what's the amount of that? It was,
17,500,
okay,
which is a substantial reduction from last year.
What was it last year?
$25,000.
25?
Actually, we budgeted
Two.
25,000 last year, but because a lot of programs did not come in to the pool, we actually got 32,000 out of it.
Really?
Yeah, so I mean, it's very possible that this happens with this year also, that
Okay.
if everybody that is participating does not permit, submit their forms correctly and timely, this number could go up. But this is a minimum that we're
Okay.
allocated.
Great.
All right, so we
So
have.
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing on the community development program.
Second,
second.
favor?
Aye. The board comments on this? I know we have a couple of people that want to speak here. Go ahead, come on up.
My name is Rachel Kopt, and I've been director of the Southampton Daycare for the past 3 years. The daycare has been servicing our community since 1985. It was founded by the community member Kathleen Davis. The center moved to its permanent location at David White's Lane 12 years ago, and we are still proudly providing a safe, nurturing environment for children of working families. Many of our local working families struggle financially. Daycare can cost over $12,000 per child per year. There are many single-parent families that attend and work more than one job just to get by. Being a nonprofit organization, we rely greatly on the support of our community. This year, we have successfully held yard sales, a car wash, and recently a fundraiser, silent auction, at Red Bar, actually. And right now, we're selling pies and cheesecakes. So all that money, goes back to us, which is really great. We've been fortunate to receive a Village Grant for many years, which financially helps our program, allowing us to provide parents with scholarships as well as purchasing supplies and educational tools. And I ask you to continue to support the Southampton Daycare.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Maureen?
You're being tag teamed this year. Well, I have news. Big news.
Okay.
Billy is retiring in December, and I am retiring in June. And this is Kerry Lewandowski. Listened-in Lewandowski might be a better, make the name more familiar to
Got that
you.
one, Steve?
And she is going to be the new Director of Human Resources starting in June.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. So I'm taking her with me. She's my sidekick no matter where I
Okay.
go, teaching her the ropes.
All right.
As you know, Human Resources has served the community for over 30 years. We have been privileged to receive part of the grant money that the village has. Typically, we've always used it to offset the transportation program, but with the van aging out and the cost of gasoline, we are going to try and work with the town to have it become more efficient. But there are so many programs that touch so many of the village residents here that we serve. We would hope that even if the medical transportation does not continue, that you would continue to support our efforts. Come December 18th, we are going to be giving away 350 some odd turkeys, plus over 2,000 gifts, many of which go to local village residents here. So we ask you to continue to support, and you won't have to see me again.
Well, that's not a good thing. I mean, I do wish you're going to have great support, but Mary Ann, you've done an incredible job in this community, and it's a better place. You say you always want to make it better than you found it when you leave, and you have done that.
Well, thank you.
Bill retiring, I mean, he's the guy who's driving people on Thanksgiving for dialysis, you know. So that's a loss in this community. So, but I'm sure there'll be some great people that will step up and fill very big shoes, and yeah.
Oh, I know.
Pass out right now, okay?
It has been a pleasure to serve the people in Southampton. You know, what I tried to explain to the board when I first I announced to all the pastors that I was retiring, and then I went to my board, and I said to them, you know what, you need to find a person that when this becomes a job, that's not the person you want.
Right.
You want
Right.
somebody who's got the caring and the giving and the drive to be able to step up and help. And I think we found that person.
Good.
It's a
Good.
long recommendation.
Well, that's
Thank you.
all right. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Mary Ann.
Okay, we're out of here.
Okay.
Ask for money and leave.
I am the chair of the African American Museum. Welcome. And our mission is to promote an understanding and appreciation of African American culture by creating programs that would help our youth succeed in school, life, enhance learning in families, and encourage lifelong learning, which will transfer the life of our community, with sustaining our cultural heritage, building 21st century skills, and increasing community participation for a more sustainable future. I'm proud to say that as of October 2006, the building was purchased by the Town of Southampton Community Preservation. And on December 14, 2010, the ARB approved us to become a historical landmark, first of its kind. And then we did a lot of various programs throughout since 2005. We've done a lot of art shows, and we're really excited about the art shows that we have. We collaborate with the school, and the young kids come over here, and Mark, they're usually really excited to see the mayor. And this past year, the whole room was filled with kids, and they literally did the program themselves. It was just phenomenal. And we've been doing that now since 2005. And also, this year, I'm proud to say we had our 8th annual Black Film Festival. And I don't know if Steve passed those things to you, but just briefly, I'm really proud to say that this is our 8th annual. It's 8 years we've been doing this, and this year was the best. Our opening night, we screened Central Park 5. I don't know if everybody's old enough to remember the Central Park 5. And we actually had Yusef Salam, one of the Central Park 5, there on that Thursday night. And we had an awesome panel discussion. On Friday, we had the spoken word live jazz. If you know, everybody knows Charles Certain and Certain Moves, and we boogied all night. It was a great, great turnout. And we collaborated also this year with the Stony Brook Southampton campus. And this was our first time collaborating with them. And we had that all-day film festival there, and it was a great success, and I think we'll probably be doing that again. And the other thing, I also like to thank the Southampton Center, because they also partnered with us this year, and we had a Nigel Noble, who's the Academy Award-winning producer and director of films and television, and he screened a world premiere that he secretly kept saying, don't tell anybody, but this is supposedly on the list, the Academy Awards list. And also the documentary Voices of Sarafina. So we've done a lot, and we're looking forward to getting to our own building. It's getting very, 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 very close, and we'd like to continue to support from the village. Thank you.
Thanks, Brenda. Anyone else would like to speak about the community development grant? Okay. So I'll I'll make a motion to close the public hearing on this.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Good. Okay, we've got a continued public hearing, Village Latch rezoning. You'd like to speak first there? Yeah, come on.
Nika Strunk, 37 Windmill Lane for the applicant, Village Latch Inn, and Marta and Martin White. I know I listened to watched the DVD from the last work session, and I know that there may be some people tonight who are going to make some more comments on behalf of the public. And rather than sort of addressing these things that have come up in a piecemeal manner, what I'd like to suggest is, and to ask the board, is if it could, after tonight, schedule one more public hearing night and say, and by which time the public can get all of their comments in, and we can understand the full spectrum of issues that are being raised, and then to close the public hearing and allow written comments, during which we could address whatever issues have come up.
Okay, we'll take that under advisement. I think to wait to see what the comments are tonight, but we're not going to keep it open for an extended period of time, but we'll see what happens tonight. So, okay.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks. Anyone else? Mr. Bennett.
Good evening, everyone. My name is John Bennett, and I'm a village resident, and I'm speaking as a private citizen this evening. I don't have a client, so I give you my thoughts as a owner of property in the village. I'm lucky enough to have been born in the village and lived most of my life here. Southampton was always the jewel of the East End. Job's Lane, as I remember it, Job's Lane and Main Street, there was Saks Fifth Avenue, there was Abercrombie and Fitch. I don't know if the real Abercrombie and Fitch, not a 20-something clothing store and purveyor of sort of racy catalogs, but you could go in there and you could get outfitted for an African safari there. You could buy a Holland and Holland gun there. So it was all part and parcel of what was the jewel of the East End, and I think it's lost some of its luster. I think there are a lot of steps being taken now to regain that luster, but still we've had taken some hits to that. We lost the parish. I don't want to get into that briar patch, but I think that's unfortunate. But you have to be proactive on this sort of thing, and I think again, and my apologies to Nika, and there's nothing worse than trying to put something forward and then having somebody stand up and you don't know what they're going to say. But I think if developed correctly, and I want to say if developed correctly, this property, and I would assume you'd hope to have it developed as a luxury hotel. I think it would be a great shot in the arm to the shopping district. People spend money when they're on vacation. It's part of their. They forget, well, maybe I shouldn't buy that. They get overcome by sort of the euphoria of being on vacation. And the hope would be that this would, as a luxury apartment, would be a great shot in the arm. I think if it developed correctly, the impact to Whitefield, which is itself a gem, which is a wonderful residential use. You've got that great McKim, Mead, and White main structure there. If you developed it correctly, if you had limitations on appropriate buffers, light control, limits on hours of operation of any sort of outside activities, a pool or something like that, I think the impact would be minimal. But you have to have adaptive uses to some of these properties. People might not remember this, but Whitefield itself was the Nyack Boys' School. So where that great main house was, there were there were 2 dormitories and a large gym. And so again, that property fell into disrepair and was fortunately revived as a wonderful residential use. You'd have to be careful to protect that use, but I think it can be done. My guess is that it would be developed. You would preserve the village latch and the Terry Cottage, so that the streetscape from Hill Street wouldn't be changed. You wouldn't change that wonderful sense of place. And again, this is, if developed correctly, and you have to maintain, I think you have to maintain the village shopping area in order to maintain all of the values, the property values in the village. People are not going to want to drive through they're not going to want to spend the money on a house in the village of Southampton if they have to drive through a shopping district that's in distress. Because let's face it, the second homeowners, like anybody, if they're going to spend that kind of money, they want it all. They want a nice place to live, but they also want to have a downtown that shines. And if you let the downtown wither, you start having an effect on the property values everywhere. We're already threatened by what I would call a retail drain potential out in Tuckahoe, which is a textbook downtown buster. I don't know where that's going to go, but it seems like it has a lot of steam. So you have to nurture the retail district and I think this possibility of providing some luxury accommodations, again, developed correctly, not over-aggressive, can be wonderful. Look at, I drive by in Bridgehampton, that wonderful topping rows, and I say, gosh, why can't we have something like that in Southampton? Clients will call me up and they say, there's some great places to stay in Southampton. I think Boyd Ralph does a wonderful job and everything, and there's some other examples, but there isn't enough. So, and this could be a destination, not only the summertime, but I'm not going to say people are going to come out in February and March, but we all know that the little bit of secret is that for the locals is the best time of year out here is the fall. So it would be nice to have that, and I think you could make it a destination for the summer and the spring and the fall. That's it. I hope you keep those things in mind. And again, I'm speaking only as a private citizen who has a lot of love for this village and wants to see it maintained in the best way it can be. And it's selfish too, because I want to maintain my own property values, and I'm concerned about the downtown. Thank you. Thanks.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, Eric.
Hi, I'm Eric Bregman, counsel at Farrell Fritz. I do have a client this evening. It is the Whitefield condominiums, and I'm here representing the board of that. There's some other people, individual owners, who I think want to speak as well. The motel study that was done in 1991 made a point of the fact that whatever happens to this property, especially if the zoning is changed,
Eric, should speak up just a little bit.
Sure.
They have trouble hearing in the
Yeah,
back.
they can't hear you in the back,
Sure.
actually, so you need to speak up just a little bit, so, okay.
You'd think after all these years I could. Anyway, the early motel study and is the microphone off?
I don't think the mic's on.
Is that better? If I get.
Yeah, that's better.
Yeah.
Okay. I just watched a CLE program on public speaking, and it said, "Don't get too close to the microphone." So, there it goes.
Sorry.
Anyway, the Whitefield condominium is obviously potentially affected by what happens next door. A lot of what John mentioned is material to deal with a specific project if and when it is presented, light and air, etc. I would like to make two recommendations, though, at this time for your consideration before you go forward. One is with respect to environmental review, the State Environmental Quality Review Act. The applicants or the petitioners study by Rich Warren's office correctly looked at the worst case situation, which would be 78 or 79 units. And it looked at that, but it only looked at it for sewage. I think it's appropriate, since the purpose of this is to make motels or hotels more feasible and bigger, more units than there now are, at least officially. Excuse me. And that's really the purpose of the zoning. And since that's true, you should look at the worst case in terms of other environmental concerns, one of which would be traffic, one of which would be noise, and one of which would be the potential for visual impairment, and which you can do. You can look at that worst case saying, well, here's the box that they can build in, here's the height they can build in, et cetera. And that might lead to some additions to the zoning or particular tickling of this zoning that would build in some protections. So those things I think are appropriate to look at under for environmental review, even when you're just changing the zoning and you don't have a specific proposal, although there is a conceptual proposal before you. So I think you ought to look at that. One other thing is that your code speaks to reports from the Village Planning Commission. Rick and I had some discussion about that, and the two portions of the code, I'll just read them, they're very short. The municipal legislative body shall fix the time and place of public hearing for any proposed amendments unless it rejects or denies the petition after receiving the report from the Village Planning Commission. For some reason that comes as D. The next is E. This is 11639. Each such proposed amendment or change, whether initiated by the municipal legislative body or by petition, shall be referred to the Village Planning Commission for report before approval or denial. Now, Rick and I had a conversation about it. Rick's position was that all you have to do is refer it. You don't have to wait for the report before you act. I disagree with that. It makes no sense just to refer it to the commission if the point is to get feedback from the commission before you make a decision. So I suggest you do that, but I understand the commission has already discussed it, and that this may be moot already by either now or in a few days. But I think that is something you should have in the file from them, and they may even have some good ideas. Those are my two thoughts, because the issue here is it would be very easy if this was going to be Topping Rose House with 22 or 25 units. That could be done in a way that would not raise any issues of the ones that Whitefield is concerned about, traffic, et cetera. But what you're doing is allowing 78 units. So that is what you ought to look at, what the effect of that could be on those environmental issues before going forward. Thank you.
Thanks. Pete.
Good evening. I'm Dee Dee Gotthelf, 91 Hill Street in Southampton Village. Thank you. I'm just going to read a letter, but very much echoing what Mr. Bregman and also what
Bennett. John Bennett.
Mr. Bennett have said. Hi. To the board members, I write this letter as the owner of the Southampton Inn, which is adjacent to the Village Latch, which is the subject of the proposed change of zone from a residential to a motel business district. I note that both the latches and the inn's hospitality use is pre-existing, and that the proposed zoning change is not required for continuation of current hotel uses, but seems to be only necessary for an expansion of the density of the use on the latch property. Coming off the letter is that if we knew that we were going to have a 20 or even a 40 unit, which is what I understand the certificate of occupancy is, Topping Rose House, I would be thrilled and delighted. My fear is that we could have a 78 unit flagged, chained spa, restaurant, conference, perhaps without our two beautiful white buildings, and that is the western entrance to this very special village. I've also reviewed the environmental assessment submitted by InterScience Research Associates on behalf of the Latch owners, and I do have concerns with any action based on the environmental information that was provided in this assessment. I would suggest that a full environmental impact statement should be required before taking any action on this application, and I base this conclusion on a number of issues which are raised in the assessment form. Because the applicant is not actually proposing to construct a specific development, there are many critical answers based on, quote, industry standards or marked TBD. Critical to any action that would double the number of legal hotel units are questions of traffic, sanitation, sewage treatment, lot coverage, and egress. For example, in the analysis of traffic on Hill Street, where presumably the new facility would retain its main entrance, we blithely state that there would be a significant increase in traffic and that the existing road network is, quote, adequate to handle the increased demand. Question number 12. Hill Street is the historic entrance to Southampton Village. It is the direct route to Cooper's Beach. And on what is this assertion of adequacy based? This is absolutely, there's no data presented showing current traffic patterns during the summer season, which is when any proposed new development would be operating at full capacity. And I dare say, coming out of the Southampton Inn with a great deal of summer traffic, there's an enormous backup, and there are always issues between the church and the synagogue and the Village Latch, the Southampton Inn. Movie theater, thank goodness, happens a little bit later on in the day. Another example is provision of on-site parking. The assessment form, question B1F, states that the proposed development would create only 60 parking places. How is that possibly adequate for a 76-unit hotel? How is it possible that the answer to question, what is the number of existing parking spaces, is unknown? The information provided is incomplete or inaccurate and is certainly not a suitable basis on which to proceed with such an important rezoning at this time. There's also the lack of analysis and information on septic. The sanitary load is satisfied through the provision of a private sewage treatment plant of 15,000 gallons per day, a capacity located somewhere that the consultant claims can meet setback requirements. Citing a sewage treatment plant next to residential properties and a hotel that currently has over 30,000 visitors per year and is a little bit important, at least at this point before the new hotel comes into place here, requires, to me, more disclosure and more analysis. The application relies heavily on the 1991 Planning Board report to the Village Board of Trustees recommending a zoning change to Motel District, which was rejected by the then sitting trustees. The planned rezoning was then included in the 2000 Comprehensive Master Plan, but again, there was no change in the zoning. It was never approved. Certainly, the Board of Trustees, at least to me, needs and you deserve an analysis based on the facts as they exist now, not as they existed 22 and 13 years ago. If anything, the environmental questions raised by this application are greater now than they were decades ago. The village is a very special community, and Hill Street is a very, very special street, and hospitality uses and tourism are critically important to the vitality of the village retail and the restaurants and the spas and the cultural economy. Growth of these uses should be encouraged, but I believe the growth should be tailored to not disturb the very delicate and unique balance of charm and elegance and rural beauty that reflect our Southampton Village community. While I certainly have no objection to the use of the Village Latch site as a hotel, any expansion of that use requires a careful, informed review by the Board of Trustees, which cannot occur without a thorough examination of the potential environmental impacts that are raised in this application. Respectfully submitted. Thank you.
All right, thanks. Anyone else from the public who'd like to speak? We do have some correspondence here. Steve, would you like to
Four letters.
read that?
First one's from Peter Glicklich.
Brenda,
I'm writing.
could you
I think she just gave you a written statement. Maybe you could make, not right now, but maybe you could make copies and circulate it to everybody, so we'll all have it.
I am writing this letter to support the rezoning of the Village Latch. My family and I have been visiting the Hamptons for decades and always seek fine temporary lodging, which is in short supply. The application of the Village Latch has merit to both solidify their standing and to permit continued use of the site for a fine hotel and spa on the order of the Canyon Ranch. Southampton has so many condos, it would be a shame to see more of them so close to town. Please vote to approve the application. Thank you. Next one's from Kristen Larkin. I am writing this letter to support the rezoning of the Village Latch for the purpose of being open year-round. I have been visiting Southampton for many years. In my estimation, this inn is extraordinary. The collection of beautiful antiques and the friendly and warm innkeepers make it a very special place to visit. I only wish that this wonderful place could be open longer in the year, and perhaps a few amenities could be added. A restaurant and a spa would make this a complete package. I have known Martin and Martha White for 20 years, and the Latch has been in business for 40 years. I first heard about the Village Latch while vacationing in Key West. The reputation of the innkeepers to go out of their way to accommodate guests is well documented. I feel the new zoning will greatly enhance the Latch in Southampton as well. Next one's from Mary Holtzman. We are writing to you in support of the zoning changes to Village Latch and Terry Cottage property as proposed by its current owners Marta Beyer and Martin White from its current grandfathered non-conforming use to hotel-motel zone. We own a home in Bridgehampton and have used the Village Latch over the years for our guests. We love its history and its ambiance and believe it should remain a centerpiece for the village of Southampton. To change the property into another condo development would be a shame. The village of Southampton, with its international reputation as one of the premier vacation spots in the world, can only benefit from its continued place in the village. As homeowners, we applaud the development of properties that enhance the beauty and integrity of the area while bringing much-needed revenues into the area year-round. We have no doubt that the Village Latch, once further developed as a luxury hotel and spa under new zoning, would become a world-class destination and a showpiece for the village. Next one's from Rico O'Doherty. As a former director of reservations for the Village Latch Inn, I respectfully urge the Village of Southampton to grant the zoning changes requested by this respected and historic hotel. For 40-plus years, the Village Latch has catered to the rich and famous, bringing much-needed revenue to village restaurants, shops, museums, and attractions during the high season. However, in recent years, it has become apparent to me when talking with guests that they want more, specifically a year-round resort offering full-service spa and fitness facilities, meeting rooms, and event catering, a place to enjoy when the weather is bad and the desperate need to get away is just a couple hours from anywhere in the tri-state area. The Village Latch would like to provide what is now routinely expected by discerning hotel guests everywhere, a beautiful, comfortable, full-service facility to rival Canyon Ranch. I hope that you will see a way clear to approve these zoning changes. The last one is from Priscilla Ullman from Whitefield. Dear Board of Trustees, I'm writing in opposition to the request being made by the Village Latch to change the zoning from R20 Residence District to the MTL Motel Business District, premises situate at 101 and 109 Hill Street. I believe that this request is being made as the current owners Marta Beyer and Martin White wish to sell the property. If the owners want to sell the property, they have a right to do so. However, a potential sale should not justify a change in zoning. Under the current ownership, the Village Latch has been operating as an inn for 30 years. It is difficult to me to comprehend why the Village of Southampton has turned a blind eye to the fact that close to 50% of the rooms and other structures being rented by the Latch are being done so illegally. Why indeed has the facility not been shut down until such as time that all violations have been rectified? The property is not being maintained in a safe and proper manner, particularly the back section. It is unlikely that the village would allow other property owners to continue operation without all issues being removed. Should the Board of Trustees allow the zoning change, it would help the Village Latch to clear most of the current violations without taking any action at all. In addition, a change in zoning would greatly impact the quality of life and property value of the hundreds of residential properties which surround the Latch property on three sides. During the summer, in particular, we, as direct neighbors to the west, are constantly being disturbed by loud parties and music. Hill Street is virtually gridlocked during the season as is. The addition of 78 rooms, not counting a restaurant and a spa, would create over 100 additional cars on this already challenged section of Hill Street. Many a day I am forced to wait for 10 to 15 minutes to exit our driveway due to the high traffic volume. The current situation will only worsen if the Latch proposal were to be approved. As is, the bicycle lanes have already created a dangerous situation for bicycles, cars, and pedestrians. The owners of the Village Latch have a right to sell their property if they wish. However, they do not have the right to disrupt the lives of their neighbors. The property can be sold to a developer for a possible condominium conversion, maintaining the original historic buildings, the Latch and the Terry Cottage, as an inn, just as they have been used since 1915. The 2 original buildings could also be reconfigured as additional condominium units. Another possibility is to sell the property for 100% residential use. None of these options would require a change in zoning. We owners at Whitefield number less than 1/3 the number of units being proposed by the Latch. We sit on 16 acres. The Village Latch has only 5 acres. A proposal such as this will negatively affect hundreds of residential neighbors' quiet lifestyle. We came to Southampton, and particularly our particular condominium, for just that reason. Now, thanks to our Board of Trustees, that lifestyle is being threatened along with our sizable investments. If you, as a Board of Trustees, wish to have a new hotel-motel in the village, please reconsider your plans and select a commercially zoned location. During the spring of this year, the Board of Trustees unanimously voted to give themselves the right to approve a zoning change to accommodate a hotel and motel in this currently residential area. It is clear that this action was a deliberate move to clear the way for commercial operation on the site of the Village Latch. I close reiterating my objection to the approval of the application being made by the Village Latch for a change in their zoning status, a change that will severely impact both the tranquility and property values of their neighbors. We at Whitefield will suffer the largest loss as our entire east boundary joins the Village Latch. Thank you for your consideration.
Anybody else want to make comment about this? Okay. We've got some comments tonight, so we're going to keep this public hearing open. Rick, did you want to make any comments on
Maybe
this?
you want to continue and keep it open and adjourn it to the December meeting. You know, the next work session is right before Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And who knows who's going to be around. So
Right.
my suggestion would be that you adjourn it to the regular December meeting, and then you can decide at the end of that meeting whether to close it.
Okay. I agree.
Everybody should understand that once we close the public hearing, then our next step would be to submit everything to our environmental consultant. You know, we like to get all the public comments in before we submit anything to our environmental consultant, so that he can take all the comments into account when he does his assessment. But once we close the public hearing, it would be subject to a written environmental assessment by our environmental consultant, and perhaps comments on that.
Okay.
But we can't really start that process until we get this part. Done.
So we'll adjourn this to the first meeting in December. What date is that? December?
I believe it's the 9th. Actually, the 12th, December 12th.
Yeah.
Eric Bregman again. Rick's comments, I know that's your normal process, but the environmental issues here, it seems to me that at least some of the burden ought to be on the petitioner in dealing with traffic, noise, etc., rather than, which has not been analyzed. There's a lot of data and a lot of work involved in that. So,
But I think people are they don't understand the process here. Okay, this is for a zoning change that the applicant applied to go from R20 to a hotel motel change. Now, that doesn't guarantee them anything, because it's not an as of right use. They still would have to come in front of the Board of Trustees for that application. They'd have to go in front of the
Board of Appeals.
Board of Appeals for a zoning change. They'd have to go in front of the ARB. This is a long, drawn-out process here, and so, you know, there's not even an application to change the use of the property here. I mean, I would love to pass the cost on to the applicant. I don't know if I can on that. So, and I don't even know if everything that you've requested to be is something that's required. I'd have to have my attorney review that and make comment.
Eric, that's something that our environmental consultant looks at. He looks at the environmental EAF Part 1 and addendum, or whatever it was called. He looks at all the public hearing comments, and then he analyzes it, and until we get to that, we don't know what his recommendations might be. His recommendations could be and needs a full-scale environmental impact statement. His recommendations could be that it does not need a full environmental impact statement. His recommendations could be that there's additional information we should get. So until we get that, we don't know what he will recommend.
Okay. I understand that. The point I'm trying to make is that you are enabling somebody to have, albeit after going through a process, an inn or a motel that would have 78 units and a spa, etc. That's what you're enabling to do.
No,
now, if I came in
no,
with
you're wrong. You're just doing a spa here. That's not that's part of the plan. What we're doing, okay, is we're enabling a piece of property that has been identified by the master plan. It should be in the motel hotel district. The people that own that piece have requested the zoning change. That's what we're doing here. When you're talking about a canyon ranch, and when I read these letters, there's so much misinformation in these letters.
And I understand that. What I'm
sorry. And so we're trying to. That's the process. If a developer comes and they say, I'm going to buy this piece of property and I'm going to develop it and I want to do a canyon ranch, well, guess what? They've got to go through the entire process. And for rooms and spas and restaurants, and you've got all the sewage treatment components that are built. I mean, that's years in the making.
I understand that, but if I were representing a developer who bought this property, and you passed the zoning as proposed, and I came in with a 78-unit facility. All right, that was traditional architecture, so there were no architectural problems. Mm-hmm. And I understand you have the special exception, general and specific use standards.
Right.
But all of those are pretty direct. One of those is the one that makes it 78 units. It's 3,000 square feet. 3,000 so if I came in with those,
yeah,
I would suggest to you that it would be very difficult for people to turn that down. So you're enabling something like that. Now, obviously, there's a long process, and obviously that has to do it. But the environmental submission that has been made, I think, correctly assumed that the worst case is 78 units, and what does that do to the sewage? And they had a solution to it, or a proposed solution to it, which has to be reviewed. I'm suggesting that there are other environmental concerns that apply in the worst case sense,
I'm not disagreeing with you on
okay.
that. I'm not disagreeing with you. What I'm trying to say is that until our environmental planner here,
fair enough,
and people are projecting so much on it, do I think somebody's going to walk in with an application that says, I want to do 70 units in a spa and a restaurant? I anticipate that. I would not be shocked by that.
Right.
Okay. But they've got to go through the whole process, and who knows if they get 78 units, and who knows what the Department of Health is going to allow from a waste stream. I don't know what their leaching capabilities are on the property. I don't know what the setbacks on the plant are. I don't even know if the adjacent neighbors would say, I'm in agreement with it, if they had to get permission from them. So I'm not sure. There's so many variables here.
There are many, and those would have to be threshed out, and I'm sure Whitefield would want to come in and say something is terrific in terms of visual impact or terrible because of this, and all of that.
And we want them to do that.
And all of that is real. But you are doing something that changes the potential use here from what it now is, which is limited as a non-conforming pre-existing use, to something substantially larger. Potentially.
But Eric, the difference is that the village master plan, which is supposed to be the governing document for our zoning code, says that this property should be in the motel district.
But
right now, our zoning code is inconsistent with our master plan, and the law requires that our zoning code be consistent with our master plan.
I know, and
I know you know that.
And you and I looked at that case together. But
I'm just
that I sent you.
This isn't the usual situation where, well, unusual, but it's not the typical situation where somebody seeks a rezoning that's not consistent with the master plan.
I understand that,
That's
but
a
I
whole
don't
different-
think the
that's a whole different
consistency with the master plan, and
But in this case, as you know, there have been various rezonings in the area,
right.
including the rezoning that took the Irving Hotel property out of the motel district, a rezoning for the Whitefield condominium, what is now the Whitefield condominium, that took them out of this same zoning district, R20, and put them in a multifamily residential district. So there, the existing Whitefield condominium development came about as a result of a zoning change.
And all of that is...
All reflecting the master plan.
I
just want to make sure that, I know you understand it, I
Yeah.
wanted to make sure
Yes,
that
okay.
some public people that are here understand what this first step is all about.
Okay. And all I'm suggesting, in one more sentence, if I may, is that you are taking an action by, or you would be taking action by legislating this voting change. CEQA says you have to look at what the impacts, what the potential impacts are for that action. My guess is, it's purely my guess, without being the environmental guy, that a full-blown environmental impact statement is probably not required. But there are 2 or 3 environmental issues that are the direct result, at least potentially, of your action. And that's what I think you should look at in terms of environmental, and I hope Chick agrees with me, but those would be looked at, I submit, at least presented by the petitioner in the first instance.
Yeah. Oh, okay. All right.
Okay.
Thanks, Harry. Yeah.
Hi, Nika Strunk again. Just wanted to say, Richard Warren is here from InterScience, and there are environmental consultants on this, and we've listened very carefully to all of the points that have been raised, and, we would like to have an opportunity to address those environmental issues. What I'd like to propose is that, if the public hearing could be closed, at that point, we would have a complete spectrum and understanding of all the issues that people think are important, and then we'd like an opportunity in writing to address those. So, and there's one other thing that I just wanted to say, because it came up a couple of times, and I don't want there to be any confusion about this, which is that that there's been a suggestion that the Terry Cottage and Village Latch buildings, the historic buildings, could be torn down to make way for something else, and that's completely not what is being proposed here at all. I mean, that nobody that I know of is even considering that. So,
well, they're contributing structures to
I
our
understand.
community.
Yes, yes.
And so I would find it hard to believe that ARB would actually issue a demolition permit on structures that have been identified like this. So it was in one of the letters here too about the houses being taken. It's
right, and I mean, I think also that's a completely separate issue even from the zone change.
Right.
So, and I think your council said that at the first meeting that really it has no impact on that question.
we're gonna adjourn the hearing until the first meeting in December, and then close it up and soon.
It sounds to me like you want to make a further written submission after we close the public hearing. It does seem to me that you should make that submission before we close the public hearing. Even if we close it subject to any written comments on that, it seems to me that the public should have an opportunity to see what it is that you're going to submit before we close everything and send it to our environmental consultant.
All right. Well, I'll regroup with Richard and see what we can do in that regard. Okay.
And if you get something submitted by December 14, is that the date?
The 12th.
December 12th.
Then we could, in theory, close it subject to written comments by a date in January or something.
Okay.
And then the public will have had an opportunity to respond to what you submit.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Okay. So I'm going to make a motion to adjourn the public hearing to December 12th.
Second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Communications to the board, actually.
All right, the first one is from C. Max Semi. Dear Mayor and Trustees, following more than a decade of serving in the Southampton Village as the Chair of the Planning Commission, and in the interest of revitalizing its efforts, I have decided to step down and respectively submit my resignation. During the past 12 years of my tenure, the Planning Commission has undertaken crucial and necessary reform and development of numerous village laws that will address and impact this interest for years to come. Among those achievements, the Planning Commission has advanced reforms pertaining to residential and commercial zoning by instituting the GFA house size laws, the pyramid law, flag lot special zoning, Meadow Lane overlay district, village district, master plan, and the associated architectural guidelines, and finally numerous improvements to the village's pedestrian and park infrastructure. The last year has seen the creation of the village's Arts District with the Southampton Center at 25 Jobs Lane as its crown. This is truly the opening of another exciting and promising chapter in the life of our beloved community. I am proud of the above accomplishments and thank the trustees and the mayor for giving me the opportunity to contribute toward the well-being and growth of our community through your confidence in my appointment. As a member of your community, I will continue to support the trustees and the mayor in your vigilance towards protecting and enhancing the growth of the historic Southampton Village for generations to come. I will take this opportunity to also thank my fellow board members for the commitment to this very important task and respectively recommend Mr. Paul Travis, another esteemed and professional member of the Planning Commission, for the position of the chairmanship. Respectfully yours, C. Max Sammy.
It's with deep regret that we accept his letter of resignation. I mean, CMAC has been an incredible asset to this community even before the Planning Commission was ever put together. I met CMAC really when he was hired as a consultant to the Architecture and Historic Review Board for the construction of the new library, And he came in and he played an important role in the way that building turned out. And he's just he's an incredible architect. He's a very dedicated village servant. He is a fantastic family man, a good husband, a good father, and a good friend. And he has been a great asset to this village. And I don't find the words to actually be able to express what this guy means to the village of Southampton, and how grateful we should be for the work that he's done. So, and his leadership at the Planning Commission. But so, accept his letter of resignation. I would like to make a motion to appoint Paul Travis as the chairman of the Planning Commission.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And Paul Travis he's served on the Planning Commission. He's a quality individual. He's another dedicated Southampton Village resident. He's a professional planner also. And he brings a lot to the table. When he was appointed, he was really a great addition to that commission. So
He's been on the commission for some time as well, too, right?
yeah, he has been. I would say 4 or 5 years now, at least.
I think so. I think it's about 5 years.
And his knowledge level. I mean, it's incredible that the professional. I mean, Mark, who's on our planning commission, is a professional engineer, and so we have, planners and architects and engineers, landscape architects on the commission, and it's a great group of individuals that work hard. Bob Essay's on there with all the history, the entire village. So it's we're lucky to have these great volunteers. So thank you, CMAC, for your years of service to us, and I know he's not really going anywhere. He's just taking a different role. So thank you. Congratulations to Paul, and thanks, Paul, for stepping up and taking the chair position here.
What's that?
Item 2 is a request from St. Rosalie's Parish for a rally at Lola Prentice. Cordial greetings. I write on behalf of the East End Immigrant Advocates to request the use of Lola Prentice Park near the police station for a rally to support comprehensive immigration reform. The rally is planned for Sunday, December 8th, 1:45 to 2:45. We are expecting about 100 persons. We'll have 5 to 6 speeches. The rally is sponsored by Centro Corazon de Maria and the Hispanic Apostolate of the South Fork. Thanks so much for your consideration, Mary Beth Moore.
They've done a rally before at this location, and it's not the traffic issues. There's no traffic issues. It's an appropriate location for that. So I'd like to make a motion to authorize St. Rosalie's Parish for the rally in accordance with their letter dated Thursday, November 14th.
A second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Resolutions, item 1, resolved that the reading of the minutes of the work session of October 22nd, 2013 be dispensed with, and that those minutes be accepted as filed by the village administrator. That the actions taken at that meeting be and hereby are ratified and approved. Have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolved that claims for warrants dated November 14th, 2013, totaling $823,516.80. Warrant 9 General Fund, $17,525.33. Warrant 11 Trust Fund, $93,723.41. Warrant 6 Capital Reserve Fund, and the village payrolls for the period October 15th, 2013 to November 14th, 2013 be ordered and approved. Got a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Discussion. Item 1, 171st Neck Lane LLC, Scar Settlement, $10,125.62. Abtron Associates, cleaning of the basement for $1,000 at Village Hall. AEC Engineering, reimbursables for the renovation, $3,101.28. AEC Engineering, the second floor in the basement engineering services along with the generator grant application, $18,008.63. Alert Oil Corporation, fire prevention materials for the fire department, $3,725. All American Awards, Junior Fire Department badges, $2,315.56. Barnwall House of Tires, tires for the garage, $5,934.50. Page 2, Black Bear Company, bulk oil for the garage, $1,701.72. CSEA Employment Benefit Fund, November premium, $22,135.95. Page 3, reimbursing capital reserve. This is an allocation of the previous bills that we had for AEC. I'm breaking it out between what's applicable to the basement and the second hall and the boiler replacement versus what we took the bond money out. The original first payments was all paid out of the capital reserve fund, so this is just an internal reimbursement to properly allocate the cost, and that's $10,782. Page 4, Solar Well Drillers, drive controller for the geothermal well at PD, $4,185. Cast Productions videotaping for October, $1,697.60. Page 5, Coastal Fire Systems Scott Mass for the fire department, $1,543.88. Coastal Fire Systems site lighting supplies, $2,033.90. We have 4 payments to Corazini Asphalt. The first one, $100,129.88 for Wickapog paving. The second one is for $62,094.06 for drainage and paving at the DPW yard. Next one is $23,619.72 for paving and drainage at Prospect and North Sea. And the last one is $9,640 for drainage at Little Plains. Page 6, East End African American Museum. This is a Community Development Fund payment for 3 years, 07, 08, and 09. That's been outstanding. We finally got that approved. We got the money in from the block grant, and this is just a transfer or similar to what we're doing for the application that we just discussed at the public hearing. EMT Government Accounting Services for October, $1,012. Page 8, Richard Grosky, Fire Department Volunteer Medical Reimbursement, $1,000. Hampton IT Experts, Computer Services for PD, $5,995. Eric Hardware, Control Book Supplies, flowing on to page 10 for $1,059.86. Page 11, Johnson Electrical Constructions Traffic Signal Maintenance for October, $1,275. LIPA bill for the Building Department, $2,860.18. LIPA bill for the streetlights, $6,137.85. LIPA for building maintenance, $1,559.23. For Police Department, $3,951.27, and the Fire Department, $4,065.83. Little Edwards and Mary Shannon, this is a tax overpayment refund 2001-6584. Richards Garden Center on the bottom of the page, going on to page 13. Park Supplies, 3,382.30. Massimo Americas, CO meters for the ambulance department, 4,686.75. Messiano Consulting, grant writing for Jen Messiano, 4,065. Walden Auto Supply, going on to page 14, parts for the garage, 1,509.91. Motorola Solutions, radio and pager accessories for the ambulance department, 1,446.85. Page 15, Nextel Communications, October cell phone bill, 1,366.69. New York State health insurance for December, 229,318.97. Office of the State Controller, September fines, 12,671.40. Organic Approach, Lyman Gibson for the Parks Department, 4,567.50. PL Vulcan Fire Training 2 Rescue Skids for the Fire Department, $1,000. Page 16, Circuit Deck Construction, Village Flags, 1,080. Page 17, Pitney Bowes Mail for the Fire Department, 1,519.99. Page 18, Sadie Levine, payment on account for the 2013 audit, 17,166.67. And we have 3 payments to South Fork Asphalt, all for the Cooper's Neck Pond project, 48,593.25, 61,310.75, and 16,643.75. 19, Sprague, 2,518 gallons of diesel fuel, 8,092.73. Taser International, taser and supplies for the police department, 7,863.21. Page 20, Vince Toomey, October legal fees, 2,265.71. United Metro Energy, 2 payments, both for 3,000 gallons of gas, one on October 8th and one on November 4th, $8,085.30 and $8,001. Page 21, 3 payments to VHB Engineering for the Safe Routes to School grant, $1,624.22, $2,693.60, and $1,280.77. Wayne Scott Sand and Gravel, debris dumping, $4,112.44. On to the trust grant, 2 payments to Fred Bertrand, tax sale redemptions, $9,091.15 and $8,434.18. And the capital reserve warrant, 2 payments to AEC Engineering. The first one is for reimbursable expenses, $4,988.54, and the second was for design and engineering fees, $5,717.87. Always Elevator, application 2 for the elevator installation, $5,225. First True Chevrolet Olds, the dump for the Parks Department, $42,130. JAD Construction, application 3 for the elevator shaft construction, $16,280. And Massimo Americas, RAD 57 CO for devices, $18,747. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the attached schedule of budget transfers to eliminate overages through November 14th, 2013. Have a motion?
Make them.
Second?
Second.
First one is 500.
Well, either
We'll
one.
let Rich make the motion, and Nancy will second it,
Yeah.
and we'll all smile.
Just toss it.
Here you go.
You have to go to the videotape for that one. It's a photo finish.
That's right.
First one is $500 into heliport utilities from DPW miscellaneous. The next one is $5,000 to claims from contingency, and $8,000 to street maintenance seasonal from street maintenance personal. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Last one is resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the following payments from the capital reserve account, subject to permissive referendum. AEC Engineering, $10,706.41. JAD Construction, $16,280 from the Facilities Reserve. Always Elevator, $5,225 from the Facilities Reserve. Buzz True Chevrolet, $42,130 from the Major Equipment Reserve. Massimo Americas, Inc., $18,747 from the Major Equipment Reserve. And Zoolic Restoration, $635 from the Fire Facilities Reserve. Got a motion?
Make the motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Want to go to sleep?
There you go.
Discussion items, the FSA, there's a change. As you know, we have a Section 125 cafeteria plan where we take out the premiums for medical insurance pre-tax. We offer, also in that plan, we offer a flexible spending account where employees can put over $2,500 into a plan pre-tax to pay their out-of-pocket expenses. The way the plan is structured right now is that as of May 31st, if you do not spend your payment that you have in there, it's use it or lose it provision. The IRS has now come out with a modification to that, where they're allowing up to $500 to be rolled over to the next year. So if somebody has $400 left over at May 31st, they're not just arbitrarily going out and spending whatever they can to get that in. They can use that $400 into the following year, right? The reason I'm bringing it up is I need board approval to modify the plan. Minimum cost
I need to
change
back
that.
up here a little bit.
Sure,
So the $2,500.
up to $2,500. You can
Okay,
elect to be 1,000, you can
before
elect 500.
tax.
Right.
So if they're getting an income and they said, let's put 2,500
Mhm.
out of our income in there, we
Mhm.
don't pay tax on that income.
Correct.
And let's say they have a really healthy year,
Mhm.
and they really don't have to call upon
They
that,
lose it.
we use it,
Use it or-
they
use it or
lose
lose
the
it.
$2,500?
That's correct.
Well, why would anyone want to do that?
Well, because if you figure out what you pay in co-pays, eyeglasses,
So
there's
they
a
really
wealth
have
of...
to use it.
Yeah, you have to use it, but
An
it's...
estimated
a-
guess as to what
So
their.
it's a-
Yeah,
It's-
yeah.
it's a
Usually if you have
tax,
young
yeah.
children or
It's,
elderly, when you're
you know, it's
steady
a
bills.
wealth of things that can go into that bucket to be paid for.
And that's
So it's just a matter,
tax-free
that's
then?
it's tax-free. So if you're making $30,000
I
a
get
year
it
and you
now.
put $2,000 into this plan, you're only taxed at $28,000, okay?
Right.
But that $2,000 is sitting in a separate account for you.
Right.
So you buy glasses, your drug co-pays, your doctor co-pays, there's a wealth of issues that can be put into that. Will be, you lay it out and you
understand
get it
that now,
reimbursed, okay? But the way the plan works now, due to IRS regs, is that you have up till the year end, which is May 31st. If you have $200 left over in there, you lose it, okay? And that money sits in the account, and at some point in time when the plan is disbanded, whatever left, whatever's left over would go back to the village. But it's not a lot of money that sits in there, because most people scramble to,
Use it.
use it, all right? What they've changed now is that you can take up to $500 of unused funds and use it the following year. Okay, so for
And
next
still
year.
add another 2,500?
And still add up to $2,500, right? So if you're putting in $2,500 a year, and year one, you only use $2,000, and you decide to put another $2,500 into year two,
You'd
you'd
have
have
$3,000.
$3,000, okay? But it all depends what can happen. If somebody knows that next year I have to have a dental implant, which is gonna run me $2,000 or $1,000, and, they now have that $500 that's held back, it goes quick between things like that and eyeglasses
it
or
now.
crowns or,
Your dog needs glasses?
Mm-hmm.
Use it up.
So it's a $500 carry forward.
Right.
And they just passed that, that's just.
That was just recently approved last week, right?
Okay. So I'll make a motion to authorize a modification in our FSC plan to incorporate the $500 rollover provision in accordance with the IRS.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Item 2 is the dog park.
Yeah, I wanted to bring this up. We had a person make a presentation, what was the last meeting, Zoe? About the use of the Dozier property as a potential dog park. And there was some, little bit of a discussion here on the board. There's been discussion played out in some other arenas. And was it yesterday morning? Yeah, yesterday morning, the board met with several representatives from ARF, a lot of directors and head of departments from the ARF organization at the property, and with some literature and some ideas of what they would like to do and use it as a dog park. I myself even told Zoe, who was one of the people who she presented that night and was at the meeting with us yesterday morning. She's one of the most passionate ones about what she wants to do with the park. And I told her, even at the meeting, that if she's so passionate, she would love us to put up a fence tomorrow and give it a shot. I told her yesterday morning, and I'll speak for myself and the group that was there, Mark Fitzgerald being one of them, he's an ARF representative, was that I wasn't opposed so much to the concept of a dog park. It's just that whether it needs to be there or not. And they met with us, they expressed their interest, their concerns. She had mentioned petitions she had gotten signed, so I do thank her for actually dropping them off, and there are 600-plus signatures here. Southampton residents, village and town, so it's actually a little more than I expected, to be honest with you. So I thanked him for dropping off. I did request I wanted to see this. I wanted to see who exactly was supporting this. She threw a number out. She threw a bunch of people. And now I'm seeing who actually is supporting this, and there is an actual separate part for merchants in the village. So obviously they represented the reason why they wanted to use it for a dog park. It's unused space. The advantage to it, which I could see, again, some people I think overuse the word need. I don't think there's a need for it, but there certainly is a desire for it, and it would create a nice social aspect for dog owners. I think one of the more intriguing points they brought out was that it could enhance or bring even more so a certain demographic into the village, which is why the merchants obviously are interested, because anything that helps downtown business district I think is helpful, and I think that's a good thing. So I think they were very thorough in expressing why they, again, think that particular property, not even a dog park in general, but why that particular property should be a dog park. So the reason I'm bringing that up from my perspective to the board and to the public is what I told them and what I've said to members of the board as well, and why I'm not prepared to move on it at the snap of a finger, despite whether I like it or not, or anybody else, is that one of the things they're pointing out is that, yes, this property has sat dormant for, 8-9 years now since CPF. I mean, it's languished. And part of the reason is because indecisiveness and not sure what to do. The building itself has been issues. There's been reasons why, not necessarily good ones, but there's reasons why it hasn't moved along. So to their advantage, they are one of the more organized organizations coming in with a plan and a proposal. That's their advantage, because they're saying, well, it's been sitting for so long, why don't we do this with it? Oh, well and fine. Minimal work would be required. Oh, well and fine. But since we have, as a board, languished with what we want to do with it, part of it's been for what we've been waiting for certain things, what to do with the building. And one of the members of ARF even said it to me yesterday morning, was that they weren't even aware of that piece of property until it was brought to their attention. So I think that's a disservice to the rest of the community. Meaning, if right now they're the only organization waving their hand with a fairly viable solution for that piece of property. I told them, and what I want to propose to the board and get out to the public, that if anybody else has a good idea for that piece of property, now's the time, because it has language for 8 or 9 years, and I challenge anybody to come up, because I told them, I said, right now you're the only ones in line with a well thought out, planned out idea. But you know what? There are a lot of people unaware of that piece of property, and I told them that. So with that, it would be a disservice, in my opinion, to just go ahead with one particular idea without, again, bringing it out to the public's attention to say, if somebody's got an idea for that property, now is the time to do it. Speak if ever, hold your peace, because I kind of agree with the group that, if it could be put to some good use, why not? Whether it needs to be that, I'm not sure. But again, why not? If there's no other alternative and no other good idea. So that's why I wanted to bring this up in light of the meeting yesterday, which I thank them for showing up. It was freezing out there. The mayor was in shorts.
Well, just to
Bill-
follow up, this land was purchased with Community Preservation Fund money. There are limited uses to this property. Cannot be used for any type of commercial use. Some of the things that have come over the years have been restaurants and cafes and different things on the property, which cannot happen. It was identified as a parkland purchase, and when the village put together our list of properties, you identified stuff in open space, you identified stuff as estuary pieces of which we just purchased, got approval from the town board to purchase another piece of property I'll talk about in a minute. Farmland and parkland and recreational space. And this was identified as parkland. So if there's another use that comes in, it has to fall under the uses of Community Preservation Fund. And if it's a different use than a parkland, then we would have to go back and hold a public hearing to modify that, and the town board would have to go back. So it's not just an open come in and let's throw up a bunch of ideas at us and stuff here. So it's and a dog park actually falls under that allowable use in which the property was purchased, because I had a conversation with Mary Wilson, who's the attorney for the town Community Preservation Fund piece. So it's dog park is simple, it's low cost, it's has an attraction, it will draw people into the village. You saw there's a passionate group, and we see all the signatures there of very passionate people.
She wasn't kidding.
Yeah, so.
I think part of the problem with the property from day one is that the buildings are dilapidated, and originally when the property was purchased with community preservation, it was purchased with the idea that those buildings would be taken down. Mm-hmm. We sectioned them off because they were dilapidated, and we fenced it all off because we were concerned somebody would go in there and get hurt. And in fencing it all off, you can't really make a decision on what to do on that property until you make a decision on those buildings. The part that upsets me about the dog park is they want the entire property for the dog park, and that's a huge piece of property. And while we were standing there in the freezing cold, I'm looking over at the children's playground, and I'm saying to myself, we're going to have a dog park that's bigger than our children's playground, and that I'm having a real issue with, because in my mind, I'd rather take a portion of it and expand the children's playground and give a dog park part of it, but to take the entire thing and give it to a dog park, I'm having an issue with. We've had people come to us and say, gee, I would really love to have tennis courts in the village. I would really like to have a bocce court in the village. The town has a bocce court, and apparently, it's become a really big thing now, and people really want to get into it, and they're forming leagues. Couldn't we at least have a bocce court? So while I'm there looking at that, we're looking at a building that has huge history within the community. However, it was scheduled to be demolished if, in fact, the Community Preservation Fund purchased this. The main house is in really bad repair. Animals have gotten in there. It's infested. There was an additional ballroom, which I loved so much, and I said to you, Bill, take a look at it, because I know you wanted to do something down at Cooper's Beach. But, that's step one, I think, before we do anything. And number two, as you said, Rich, we have to decide if that's our highest and best use for that property. There's no doubt if you have a dog park, lots of people are going to come in with their dogs. In the middle of the summer, you can't leave your dog in the car, so I'm not so sure, unless they're walking in, which is partially, you've done that. You've walked in with your dog, and you've gone around and you've picked up some things in the village, and you've walked home. So there will be a lot of that. I think we'll have people coming from all over to use our dog park, if in fact we have it down there. But again, if we turn that into a dog park, are we ever going to get it back? I mean, I'd really like to see the children's playground expanded. That space is a small space, and we did a great job in redoing that playground. People come from all over for that, but it's small. It's not a big park for kids.
All right.
And that was one of the things that, I'm standing there and I'm thinking, my God, we have a playground that's going to be smaller than the dog park. Somehow that doesn't fit well with me. So I don't know. We have to really think about it. I think a dog park in the community is a great thing, but I don't know if that's the right spot for it.
I want to challenge you guys to find a spot. That's
well, that's true too. But that's where it goes back to what I said before. I think the need. I think a lot of people use the word having a need, more than a desire. And I'll argue whether there's a need for it, because even one of the people I told yesterday, Sometimes people don't still think we do, but we still live in a country. Maybe not all as rural as it used to be, but we're still in the sticks, the country, I like to think anyways. And with that, myself, my wife more so, my children walk our dog and have plenty of spaces to walk out, albeit leashed, but they're walking and running with the dog. So I understand that argument. That's the point I brought up myself. I go, so the need of it, we're not an urban area, so that's in an urban environment. That's where I see the need for dog parks,
Right.
because there is limited space. So I don't buy the argument that there's a need for it, but there is clearly a strong desire for it, and that's fine. And you're right too. They pointed out, I think in her original presentation, they wanted to take a sliver of that. And then yesterday morning, they pointed out they wanted to go further to where the existing. To even, I was like, well, I thought we were going here, and like they wanted to go to the fence line, and that's what I said. Well, that's bigger than you had proposed, and the same thing, the building and what we want to do with that. Ultimately, if there's something we can use a few, things on that site, building included. I don't know, but the reason these people are as strong as they are, and the impression I got yesterday was, again. They feel that nothing has been done, so do something with it, which I understand the argument, but again, I said, well, shame on us for perhaps maybe not being as diligent and vigilant in bringing it out to the public and saying what we can do with it. Maybe enough's enough. Let's do something with it then. And I don't know what that is yet, but I think having somebody come in and bringing us an idea anyways at least sparks up the conversation at the very least.
You have a pretty good support there. You have pretty good support there for a dog park.
Clearly. I mean, this is, maybe not this much for the last election. So, yeah, there's clearly support for it. And again, if there's ample enough support against this, to then fine, then somebody speak. That's what the press is here for. People write letters, write something, because it is a property right smack in the middle of the village. And I know the master plan, I had more grand ideas for it, I think, as far as boardwalkish and boardwalking things or something. I forget exactly what, but didn't they have...
over to the lake, you mean?
Yeah, like didn't they kind of...
That was, I don't know if the master plan had that.
Yeah.
Did it have that? Oh, yes, the village business
The
management
village,
plan,
they kind of were using it for different things, so... and then, of course, I understand what they're saying. If you start something, can always, pull it back to it, which... That's why they were bringing up, one of the arguments was do it as a trial program. I really don't believe in that, because you're either going to do it or you're not. And that's what I said. If we're going to do it, then you make a decision to go ahead.
Once you put that there, you'll never get it back.
Well, that's what that's not something that can be pulled away. It's like, let's put the playground and now we're going to take it away.
Yeah, right. You're never
You
going to
can't
get
do
it
that,
back.
so-
That's why you have to be really
So
careful.
that's
about
why I
it.
think it's imperative to get some decision, without stringing them along, or any group that's interested. But also, I think it's disingenuous to say, yeah, we'll consider a temporary solution when I never view it as a temporary. Either as a board or the community, we're going to decide to do it, or we're not going to decide to do it. That's what I think we need to discuss and do.
Okay. Any other comments about dog parks, Bill?
It sounds like we're going to have our second spa here in the village.
Doggy spa.
Yeah. I would like to think, first of all, Mark, you mentioned the other day that you were going to try and get maybe funding from the Community Preservation Fund to remove the house. I really think we should take that baby down. You can't go wrong. It's just been sitting there, and it's not going to get any more ugly. It may get more ugly, but it certainly won't get more beautiful.
It may fall down on its own.
And I think as far as the dog park is concerned, I'm willing to take a shot at it. I don't think we should let anybody come to think that they have a right to have it. If we come up with some better idea, or we want to take half of it back for some other darn use to expand the children's area or something like that, I just, like a lot of things, we do it year to year, and I'm willing to try it. I don't know that it's a good idea. I think we don't even know what may come out of it, so that I don't think we should give them, a 10-year lease or anything resembling it. I think we ought to give it. If you do it on a trial basis. I'm perfectly willing to do that, but I don't think we should ever feel obligated that we can't take it back if we find a higher prospect for it.
Well, the way I look at
Or
it is
if
if we
it
have
works out
600
poorly.
letters in favor of it, can you imagine when you go to take it away?
No. So we lose the dog vote.
Well, apparently it's pretty big.
Dog house.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know, I mean, you weren't
No, I
necessarily able to
wasn't
make it
there.
and stuff like that, but I don't know what your thoughts on dog park is.
Well,
Wanna
I love
make-
animals, I just am like, I love people more, so for me, I just kind of feel like, you know, there's people things that could go on in there, and we haven't, because we have a dilapidated building, we have not really focused on doing
Well,
any of that.
Let's tear it down.
I asked Gary to get prices, get because he came back with a preliminary price on the building removal. It was high, and I asked him to bid it out and get 3 prices on it. And then I'm going to take that and I'll go back to CPF and ask them to pay for the demolition of that building.
And then you and I had a conversation after the meeting with everybody,
Yeah.
and then we need to take a look at the entire property without
Master
it.
plan it, yeah.
And master plan it out, because what could we really get on that property besides a dog park? Could we get 1 tennis court? Could we get a tennis court and a paddleball court?
Yeah,
Could we
paddle
get,
tennis would be great.
yeah.
Yeah,
And, you know,
Love
and,
that.
and then could we have an opening in the stone wall, which we love the stone wall, but maybe in the middle of the stone wall, we could have an opening, create a smaller children's park there, have another whole section for the older kids, and then maybe have bocce. I mean, these are things that I think our community will love and use. And as it is, I mean, the children's playground during the season when people are out is packed.
Yeah.
So I think to use up, what's the acreage? Is it 1.5 acres or 2 acres?
Acre and a half.
Acre and a half there, when people, I mean, we don't really have tennis courts. We have a tennis court over in Roscoe, and people use the school courts, but we don't really have that unless you belong to a club, and I think there are lots of people here who would really like to have that, as well as paddle tennis, and I think the bocce courts. So it's not that I'm against a dog park. I just had higher hopes for a better use there than that. That's just it.
Okay.
It's next to a children's playground. Once it was purchased just for parks, I was like, yes, now we can actually go in there and have more. I wanted to do ice skating. You know how I wanted to do ice skating over there, and fix up part of that building and put lockers in there and everything. But now we have the driving range that's going to do ice skating, and I'm thrilled about that, so that our kids will have a place to go and we don't have to worry about it. I mean, as far as taking care of it, because there is an expense to that.
Yeah.
So I think that's a great thing. But I don't know, I just feel like it should be a people property.
Well, come up with a better idea. I think we should just make it clear to them from day one, you know, that this is something, and if something else comes along that we think is more compelling.
I think the first step, though, is again, and we said it with them yesterday, was, you know, the building has been the biggest stumbling block, so let's get it down. If that's what's impeding a lot of progress there, then, you know, that was part of, so I think that's, let's get it done, get it down,
I mean,
and then go from there.
We really couldn't have expanded on that property at all while those buildings are there, because even if you tried to expand the children's playground, you're moving kids closer to a dilapidated building, that their curiosity sooner or later is going to get the better of them, and they're going to be climbing the fence. You know, I just think until we clean that up or get rid of that, we really can't do anything. And then when we finally do get rid of it, we need to look at the whole picture. I mean, what about Little Apprentice for the dog park?
Yeah. To move the rally.
To move them, but you know what it is? It is a park.
Yeah.
And I've had a lot of people
It's an
say
actual
to me, you know, we have vehicles parked on basketball courts. It's a park.
Oh, that's right.
So
Sewing
we have
one
to
at
talk about
basketball.
that as well. You know,
Remember that?
Yeah.
so,
all right.
anyway, it's a thought.
No, it's not a bad thought. So, okay.
Well, the positive thing is the dog park is making us look at that piece of property.
Correct,
Yeah.
and that's exactly
And
what I
that's
said.
very
Yeah,
positive.
I said that to Mark. I said, if anything, it's gonna make us do something with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Okay.
I mean, and we do have money in the park fund that we could do courts, and we could do paddleboard courts, and we could do the things that people in the community will go and enjoy. Don't ever think I'm not for the animals. I'm an animal lover, and I have a dog myself, but I don't know, it's just, there's something that is, I'm having difficulty.
Okay. All right. I'll report that back to my wife.
You got any comments on that there?
Tell her that we'll look at Lola Prentice.
She had some nice comments the
Oh,
other day.
boy, I
about
tell
it.
you what.
Got a rough night ahead of you.
She had some nice-
You're asking people to give you back and stuff like that.
Like our parks commissioner doesn't want to be commissioner of dog
I
park.
She had some nice comments to me the other day about it, so.
Actually, I'd like to see a dog
Those are
walk here. I
calm
just don't know if
compared
I
to
want
what
to
you
do
said
it.
to me
to
about
dinner.
it. That's right. So.
They're self-tied to something, you know.
I know.
It's ours. It's a community. So if there's a better use,
I mean, maybe Lowell Prentice Park is.
Why not? I think it's
for us to
fun.
look at, you know.
It's got a little hill,
So-
it's
Yeah.
possible. That's not a bad idea either.
There you go.
My backyard, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I could just.
You don't have to walk far.
Yeah, right.
You're right out there.
So, all right, so, second discussion item here is, historical grave sites. I put that on here. I included in, some correspondence that we had from the, Sunday Shermeyer, who's the, town clerk. The town adopted a resolution to amend their code, and they created a new code and standards for protecting historical burial grounds and abandoned cemeteries. We have two in the village of Southampton. One's the North End Burying Ground, and the other one's the old
Little
town
Little
burying ground on Little Plains there. And so what they've asked us to do is to incorporate in our village code, a local law that actually mimics what they've done. It's interesting. The thing is that they've found that we used to go out and used to do the graveyard, the gravestone rubs and things like those are actually damaging to the headstones, and people playing ball in the parks, they've run into people kicking balls up against headstones and knocking them over, and different things that have gone on in the town in different places. And what they wanted us, the reason why they wanted us to do a local law on this is it would give us enforcement capability of people that go on and abuse that property, not in accordance with what the guidelines for the historical burial grounds in these cemeteries. So, brought it in front of you guys. I'm going to ask Rick to go through and do research on this and come up with something that we could discuss.
Well, I can comment right now. If
Okay, yeah.
if it's something you want to do, the town local law, although the town can adopt regulations to govern its own property, the town has no practical way of enforcing those regulations on property within the village because the town local law doesn't apply to property in the village. So if the village adopted a local law which put in the same stuff that's already in the town regulations, and if somebody violated it, then just like any other village code, the person could be charged with a violation of the village code and taken to court. So that's what the town is looking for, is a practical way to enforce their regulations. We have cooperated with the town in the past on some things similar to this. I can recall quite some years ago, the town trustees had fishing regulations relating to Lake Agawam or some trustee pond in the village, but they had no practical way of enforcing it, so they asked the village to put into its code the same restrictions that the trustees had in their regulations, and we did that. So it's something that we have done in the past, and if it's something you want to do, it's entirely feasible to do it. I would prepare a local law that mimics what their regulations are. We'd have a public hearing on it, and then either adopt it or not adopt it. I don't know. I can't imagine that it's any. I mean, the village does incur the village, if there were a violation and the village code enforcement people were going to enforce it and take it to court, it would be village officials that would be handling the prosecution because it's a violation of the village code. But I can't imagine that we're talking about any major amount of expense or time.
I would be shocked if it was either. But,
so I don't see any reason not to cooperate with what the town's asking.
But it's okay with Rick preparing a local law to, okay.
Okay, I'll go ahead and prepare one. While we're on the subject of the local law, let me just update the board on one other thing. This has to do with the annexation petition for the property on the south side of the Long Island Railroad between McGee Street and Bishop's Lane. If you recall, a couple of months ago, you adopted after joint public hearings, you adopted a determination approving the annexation, and then a short time thereafter, the town board also adopted a determination approving the annexation. So the next step in the process is for the village to adopt a local law actually making the annexation effective. The local law does not require a public hearing because you've already gone through the public hearing process before you determined to approve the annexation. I'm now in a position to prepare the local law. There was one thing that I had asked that the petitioner's attorney submit because we need a legal description of the portion of the property that's being annexed. And there was a map in the petition that showed it, but we didn't have an actual legal description of that part of it. So I've recently received a survey description prepared by their surveyor or engineer so that I can now do the local law describing with meets and bounds the portion of the property that we're annexing. So that's the final step next step in the annexation. And as soon as I get a chance now, I'll prepare the local law and submit it to you. I wanted to alert you to it because it doesn't require a public hearing. It's just adopting what you've already approved.
Great.
But we should get that done either November 26th or December 12th because it makes sense to make it effective January 1, so that as of the start of the next year, which is our taxable status date for village assessment rolls, the property will be in the village. So I'll either get something to you for the 26th or the 12th, and we can adopt it at that meeting.
Great. Okay.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Pardon?
Thank you, Attorney.
Welcome up.
Okay, comments from board members here. Rich?
Just that holiday season is fastly approaching, so I just want to thank all the departments in advance who are starting to, and will be starting getting the village ready for all the holiday festivities approaching. So, again, I want to thank all members of the village departments for in advance for getting stuff ready, and hope everybody has a good holiday season coming up.
Mike?
Two quick things, and the first one, maybe Nancy, you could help me with a bit. A lot of the stores are moving out of our business district. Seasonal thing as usual, and some of their windows are really horrendous, and we're putting such an effort in doing the Christmas decorations and making the village look terrific. I'm not sure what we could do, but I think we should take a look at it.
I know that comes up all the time. It
Rick-
comes up
Rick,
all
is
the
there
time.
anything that we can do on a closed store as far as forcing the property owner to, you know,
Not make it look as empty as it is. In other words, putting up something in the window. like-
some places have a requirement where they place art or they, you know,
East Hampton
cover the
did that.
windows.
Or
or-
they
Did East
put a
Hampton do it?
mannequin in the window and dress it, or, you know,
Yeah.
Please.
something.
Off the top of my head, I'm not, I mean, perhaps it's something we can do, I just
Yeah.
had no involvement with it, so
Right.
let me take a look. Do you know of any communities that have something like that?
East Hampton did that? East Hampton, right?
Yeah.
Who said, yeah, East Hampton did it.
Mhm.
All right, let me, the village of East Hampton or the town?
Village.
Village.
All right, let me
I
take a
believe
look at
that's
the
what downtown district.
Village of East Hampton code and see
Okay.
what's in there.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, some people will put up a sign, "See you in the spring," or
Yeah,
something.
no,
to-
some people put up nice,
And it
you know,
looks
nice.
nice, but
yeah.
there are some where the windows are dirty, the place is empty. It's
It just doesn't have that holiday season
no.
pizzazz.
Get children to draw wreaths and everything on it.
Then the other quick issue I have is I think everybody here should at some point go down to Mecox and Sagaponack and take a look at that beach nourishment program, because it's pretty impressive.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. The sand that they're pumping in is very, very clean, and it has really built the beach up. It's pretty impressive.
Is it coming our way yet?
Not yet. We're waiting for that northeaster, you know?
Yeah. Good.
That's it.
Okay. Nancy?
I don't really have anything.
Bill? Just a couple of things. One is that on Tuesday, I went to the town board meeting. They held a public hearing on the acquisition of the Mulholland property down on Meadow Lane. It's 4.5 acres, using community preservation money to preserve it. It's been identified as an open space target preservation area and a community preservation project plan for the village of Southampton. It's been a 10+ years, I guess.
It's been a long time that the
Yeah.
mayor and I have been working to try to accomplish something with this. You know, we first had to persuade the property owner to be a voluntary seller, to sell it to the town. As you know, that property is in litigation with the village because the zoning board denied wetlands permits and variances for a house on that property. And in the context of the litigation, we were able to reach a settlement where the property owner would sell it to the town CPF. The town board agreed. This happened a couple of months ago. The mayor and I went to a town board meeting, and then the follow-up public hearing was earlier this week, and the town has formally approved it now.
What's the
So
property?
it's a jewel piece of
It really
property.
is
It's
one of the.
It's one of the properties that we've been most wanting to get. It's right next to two other properties that the town CPF acquired with Village pushing some years ago. So this completes a broad expanse there of preserved wetlands now.
Oh, good.
Oh, that's great.
So that's really good news.
Where is it again?
It's on the bay side
Yeah.
on Meadow
On
Lane.
Basin.
And you know where, is it Orson Munn Park? Is that what it's called down there?
Yes, the long,
Park,
yeah.
Okay.
So next to that, okay.
A short distance west of that
Okay.
is the stretch where the former Francis Jacobson property that is now owned by the town CPF, and the former Gladstone property. And then the last piece is the Mulholland property, which is much bigger than the other two, and that takes you all the way to the water, because there's a big indentation of the bay inland, just on the west side of the Mulholland property. So now it's a major good
Good.
thing.
Yeah,
It's
big
a-
piece.
That's
Beautiful
great.
piece, a major purchase. Thank the Mulholland family for finally coming to conclusion on this. And that area along the north side of Meadow Lane and the Bay Area is a prime location of where we should be targeting the use of community preservation money to try to purchase the lands and preserve that area. Not only is it all mostly wetlands in the area, but also from a view standpoint, it's incredible. I mean, I know I like to go drive it and walk it, and
there's one lot left in that. There's a long stretch of property that is now owned either by the village or by the town CPF. There's only one lot in there now that's left unowned by the village or the town. But that property owner has never expressed any interest in developing it, never expressed any interest in selling it. It's just sitting there. I don't even know who the owner is. But you know, after everything else that's happened, I mean, in each case where somebody applied to develop it, the zoning board denied the wetlands permits and variances because it was such an important piece of property. So my guess is that someday maybe that will be offered to the village also.
Yeah. But thanks to Rick and Mary Wilson for their decade worth of work on this.
Mary's been working on this for a long time as well.
It's been so it's a great purchase. So congratulations.
Yeah, it's good to thank the Mulholland family too.
The Mulholland, yeah.
They're getting money, but they also did a good thing for the village.
They did do a good thing for the village, and so we applaud everybody here, including the town board, for the meeting of the minds. So I know it was a tough negotiation piece, but and the second thing is the tree lighting. Christmas tree lighting is November 30th. So the Parade of Lights is normally like the first Saturday in December, but that first Saturday in December is very late. So they've actually pushed it up, and so this is a Saturday after Thanksgiving, actually, the Parade of Lights, and encourage people to come out.
And also,
it's a great
Really
evening.
kind of great.
Also, if I could just add to that too, the Parade of Lights, and Sunday, December 8th is the pancake breakfast.
Yep.
So it's Fire Department Junior, so just
And
Sunday,
then-
December 8th.
And then the Saturday after that is a polar bear plunge.
Pull the plunges after it.
So it's all good stuff. So
I don't know.
But that being said, anyone else from the public would like to make a comment? Yeah, come on up, Ken. Let's come on up. Yeah.
Oh, wait.
Thanks.
I wasn't planning on saying anything, but I just wanted to take the
It's
opportunity.
actually
It's Ken Herzog.
Just for the record, so.
Ken Herzog.
yeah.
I just wanted to say that in 5.5 decades of being in Southampton, it's the first time that I felt that the Southampton Center, or the ex-Parish Art Museum, is actually open to the public and functional and played a good role in the community. So I want to thank the mayor, the board, and all the volunteers. I've spoken to a few of them, and they're doing a great job. And I haven't been to many of these meetings, so I'm sure, hopefully it's been brought up. But it's the first year that I really felt like that was open. It wasn't a membership-only kind of thing, and just funds being funneled out that were acquired, they're being funneled out for other purposes. And so I think everyone involved with that should really be applauded. And as far as Nancy with the park in the back, I agree. If that little cobblestone fence was opened up, and it's a beautiful Agawam Park is such a beautiful park. If that was expanded a little bit big, I don't think anyone would complain. Just open up that cobblestone thing and expand the park, just free open space. I think there's like 15 or so feet on the lake that property owns, and nothing wrong with having a little more view, because I think the memorial takes away a lot of the view, so maybe you could put a little bit back by having it open there. And I agree with with the board as far as the dog situation. You don't have to give 1.5 acres to dogs, but a little bit would be a good test, maybe. I don't own a dog, but I don't think 1.5 acres is a lot of room for dogs to roam around, But the Southampton Center is fantastic, and I took advantage of it this year. And first time I really felt like I belonged to part of that.
Good.
It was really good. It seemed like it was always so private and not part of the village before. So I'm kind of happy they moved.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Any
Ken.
comments?
Anyone else from the public would like to speak? Okay. With that being said, I'm going to adjourn, go into executive session for the purpose of discussing personnel matters.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.